guy. It was at that doll store in the belt, you know, somebody worked there. Was it Holly or somebody?
She did, yeah, Holly.
And it was on a sale, but then there was, you know, odds and ends and things. And when I saw that bear, I think I paid $5, but I thought, I'm going to have that bear. And then, when Adam used to come to my house, he picked this one out first. And he loved it. I said, well, Nanny likes that bear too. You know, and but I think she's cute.
She is cute.
It just took me on my eye when I saw her there. Like that. Then one of the chickens, somebody was making them, you said. You brought that back to me. What I want.
Now, where did you like to go?
Well,
You like to go where?
Well, it's too late now to do anything.
But you like to go to Grandma McDermott?
I always used to like to go to Grandma McDermott's because, we used to go to Kirk Park, was very close there, like within a block or so from it, and she fixed up a lunch in maybe just a paper bag or just a basket that she happened to have that she'd take out of her pantry, and she fixed us a little lunch. And of course, I used to think that her lunches were the best that I ever had in my life, of course.
How come? What did she make?
Because, well, she'd make usually egg sandwiches. And of course, I always loved the egg sandwich, you know. And then she always had cookies made, and it wasn't anything elaborate, but it was good. And and she'd say, well, would you like to go to the park today? And of course I was delighted. Even if I was 12, 13 years old, I used to love to go just to be with her. And we'd go and sit on the park benches and eat our lunch, and there used to be a few swans in the little pond there. And I always thought, well, I guess I still do, that swans were one of the most graceful things that the dear Lord ever put on earth, because they were so beautiful when they'd go around. And then when they'd have their babies, and then the babies would go along and back, and you don't very often see that. Well, of course, they don't have it there anymore. Probably Kirk Park wasn't even there, but they used to have the mom and papa swan, and then these, maybe 3 or 4 eaglets in back of them. And just to sit there and watch them was so peaceful. And Grandma usually take hold of my hand, and we'd just talk of things that, I like to talk to, but nobody ever talked to me the way she did. I mean, to just, you know, and now I love my grandmother Williams, but she was always sick in bed, and so we never had the relationship like we did with Grandma McDermott, Emily. And And she used to tell me, of course, she was raised on a farm. Well, grandfather was raised on a farm too, but the things that they used to.
And that's Grandpa McDermott?
That's grandfather, Grandma McDermott, her husband, George.
What was his personality like?
He was very stern. I mean, with the family, the girl, he didn't want the girls going out unless he had inspected who it was that they wanted to go with. Catholic boy, and of course the first.
What was he, Methodist?
He was Methodist, and of course the first, I guess, the first, Mother used to tell me that she really had her eyes on this Catholic boy that she wanted to go to a dance with or something, you know. Well, she was very careful not to let her father know, or she thought she was, but you know, things that you're not supposed to do, it always leaks out somehow, you know. And so she felt if she had to tell her mother or her father who it was that she was going. But now Papa, he was a real nice boy. Now he's a real nice boy. Well, not if he's Catholic. He's not.
Why didn't he like Catholic?
Well, I don't know exactly why, but he. That was one of his things, that he didn't want his children. Of course, that Uncle Irv married a Catholic woman.
Oh.
And of course, grandfather wouldn't let her come in the house for a long time.
Really?
Because that was his thought, and his son shouldn't have done that. But his only son, well, they had a baby boy, Kenneth, I think the name of the baby was, but he didn't live very long. And of course that broke grandmother's heart because he, well, a boy, you know why, that, I don't know, but.
So there was Grandma, and then there was
Aunt Nell.
Nell.
Was the, no.
And that's Barbara and
now she has Barbara.
That's their mom, right?
Yeah, Barbara and Claire. Was their mother. And I don't know. When I often wondered why that her brothers and sisters never got along. My mother. Of course, my mother had a disposition that nobody on the earth should have had anyways. I mean, she, you know, was always very. And yet my father was just the other way. My father was as sweet a man that you'd ever want to. And of course, I adored my father. I just thought that he was just, and he was, of course, I guess it was because I was the daughter and he'd go, now, most men don't like to go shopping. But if he thought that my mother was going to go shopping for me for something, he wanted to go. And I wanted him to go because if he went, I knew very well that I probably would get whatever it was that I wanted. And it was just not. But Daddy was always very kindly. He was just a sweet man, you know. And whoever I'd happen to meet or somebody that Mother used to go down to maybe make a deposit at the bank or whatever there was that they were, you know, and that and the workers, you know, employees that I knew by, well, just because I'd been going there for since I was that tall.
Because Dad was, Grandpa was the what?
Well, he was first, of course, like they would. He was a teller, you know, on the lines they called it, and that's how Mother got to know him. Because she worked in the well, of course you probably wouldn't remember the building across the street from the Syracuse building. There was another one on the...
That big old one?
And,
I think I know.
Well, it was the building across there where Mother worked. Mother worked in one building and Daddy, of course, worked in the other building. And, of course, the first time she ever had her eyes on me... Now, this is what she used to tell me when I was little, I don't know. But when she saw my daddy, she thought, you know, he's, well, I wouldn't say he was a handsome man, but he was a nice looking man, you know, a nice, pleasant man, and always, well, anyway. And so whenever her boss was a printer in that building across the way, and that faced Salinas Street. And so when I was little...
Well, Grandpa didn't work at Syracuse Savings Bank, did he?
No, she didn't. My father did.
Oh, he did at Syracuse Savings?
Yeah.
The same one that you worked at?
And, well, at one time, yeah.
It was that same building, right?
Not the same time.
Well, I know not the same time,
but he worked at First Trust and Deposit on Warren Street.
Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and then Mother would somewhere out of there if she had to make a deposit for her boss. Why, of course,
I mean, he didn't work at Syracuse Savings Bank,
but
did he?
He didn't, right. Well, he did at one time.
Oh.
I can't remember just how. And then he got made a manager of the Geddes Street branch.
Well, so how did Grandma and Grandpa finally meet?
And so they met, well, of course, before she would choose which teller she was going to, she'd always, well, you know, pick the ones who were there.
Pretty sneaky, huh?
And if Bill Williams was on the line, or if it was his term to be ran, you know, well, of course, she'd always go to him for him to take her business to. And of course, one thing led to another, and so then he thought she was pretty nice too.
Well, she was real cute, don't you think?
And yeah, she was. And she always looked nice, you know. And so then when they have... the bank always...
Do we have a picture of your parents around here?
Yes, there used to be when they were on that wall, but I can't seem to...
So what, there was a ball at the bank?
At the bank for the employees, you know. And they could choose whoever they wanted to go to take, you know, with it. And it always used to be held, I remember Mother telling me that it was at that time, the Syracuse hotel was the hotel and then of course the Onondaga Hotel was, well, they both were kind of running neck and neck, but they were nice places. They had, and then sometimes they used to be out to Drumlin's, I can remember them going there, and how they.
What was her favorite color to wear?
Well, she had a velvet gown that was, well, they used to call it a cerise color, a pinky red, but it was, she liked that.
So she went to the ball with Grandpa, and how long after they start dating and they got married? How long did it take?
That was, well, of course, I don't know how long, but, I suppose. But right away, her father approved of my father. So, and he.
Oh, he did?
Oh, yes. And he always, if he had a business adventure or something to find out, Grandpa did. He'd always, now, Bill, now what would you so-and-so? I can remember them going in the front parlor, and my grandfather and my father would always talk over whatever it was that they wanted to. But see, then after my grandfather, he became a constructor, or builder of houses.
He did?
Oh, yeah.
He was a builder of houses?
And there on Durston Avenue, right off of James Street. But of course, there probably isn't any of those houses there. But
so was he pretty successful?
They what?
Did he have a pretty successful business?
Oh, yes. Oh, very. We'd get off in the section where her father had built all these houses. And so she'd show me, now your grandfather built this, and this, you know. And at that time, they were the elite of the town of that. James Street used to be a very nice.
Is that where he built them, was James Street?
James Street and Durston Avenue. And Durston Avenue went off of James Street. And, well, then, of course, I don't remember the other streets that went off of that street. But anyway, he built a lot of houses and was quite well known in the town as a...
So some of them are probably still there, right?
Well, they were, when I was growing up, you know, so they were two-story houses, always with a big porch up. Well, a lot of the houses in those days would have a big porch on the second story, and then a big piazza, what they call the front door.
Oh, yeah.
Or the stoop. Grandma McDermott always called it. Now, Norma, after we'd have our dinner at night, if I was staying all night with her, which I frequently did. Now we're finished our dinner, and we'll go sit out on the stoop. Well, what she meant was go to see what the neighbors were doing, was what she wanted to do. Because all these houses all along, like, you could talk from one house to the other because they all had these porches. You know.
Did they live in the house that Grandpa McDermott built?
Uh-huh, yeah. And,
where did they live?
They lived on Tremont Street. And, well, Oxford Street. Did I say Oxford? Oxford.
You said Tremont.
Tremont. Well, the Tremont was the next one over from their house, but theirs was right off of Midland Avenue that went, well, this way, And then Oxford went kind of parallel like to their house, and their house was the second house from Midland Avenue, as I can remember now. That's a long time ago, so there may be a little bit differentiation that some that, but it was a very nice house. You know, of course, not according in these days it wouldn't be, but they had a great big front porch. Window, well, gosh, now that's small window, but the port was in the lace curtains. Grandma always had lace curtains that were starched, and when she washed them, she starched them, and then when they were ironed, they would stand just as stiff as a board right up against those, and there wouldn't be a wrinkle or anything in it.
Was she a good housekeeper?
Oh, very. Yeah. And she.
What kind of things did she like to do? Did she sew?
Well, hand sewing. Not. She had a machine, but she didn't do much sewing. But. She was always glad when I started to learn to sew. Of course, I learned from Mabel Putlin. I used to stop.
Now, who was Mabel's mother?
Catherine. But she never was called Catherine. They always called her Kate.
Now, which one was that? Kate. What family is she from?
My father's sister.
Oh, okay, that's right.
And her husband was Gilbert Putlin, and he was French. And he was a dear man. He was. They never had much money, wise, but he was. The love was there.
Mabel never struck me like that. She always seemed like she had money.
No.
Is that the one they do the love pie or something?
Yeah, Aunt Kate did the love pie for Uncle Gilbert.
And what kind of pie was it?
And usually they had put up berries. You know, that in those days you didn't can things. You put up, canned apples or cherries or berries or whatever happened to be on the market at the time. And then that's what you used to make your pie with. And of course I never, just a child, you know, the expressions, I never understood what he meant by love pie. I always thought that it was because he loved my aunt that she made this pie for him. And, well, actually, in essence, it was, but it was a thin pie, and that's maybe all of the last 2 berries she had in the house, and she'd make it for that. So when he'd come home from work, he came right in the kitchen to see what was going to be there, if there was any love pie or not.
Well, what did she mean by love pie?
Well, she always meant that she made that for him. And so when he came home, he always looked for love pie. And I always thought that was so sweet. When I got older and well, you know, the meaning of love and what a home would be like that. And that's what he always, and I never heard anybody else use that kind of expression except Uncle Gilbert. And he always called her Kit. And when he'd be eating his love pie, you know, he'd say, well, you did right, Kit. You did right. Good piece of love pie. And meaning it, I guess it just went right to his heart that he knew that she did that for him. And no matter what they had, little though it may be, she would always fuss over everything for him. And
that's something we could learn today. I don't think we do that as much, do we?
No. And now, like when Jim and Nick came in the house, you know, if you
Well, I'll have to make him a love pie.
make him a love pie, and he'd always look around for his love pie, and then he'd always come and kiss her and hug her, and you know, and she was just short. Well, that friend of mine, Esther, oh dear, now what is her name? She looks enough like my aunt to be her sister.
Really?
A chunky, well, not fat really, but pleasingly plump. And he was as skinny as could be. And, but oh, he adored her. He just did. Love pie and all. And I have never, as I say, ever heard anyone else ever say that. But he did. And they just had the two girls, Helen and Mabel. And
tell me about when you got married. How did you meet Dad?
oh, he came, Mother hired him to cut the hay on her farm. And that was how I met him.
How long did you guys date before you got married?
Oh, quite a while. Quite a while.
How long after you got married did you get pregnant with Robert Jeffrey?
Oh, well, a year or so, at least. Mother never liked your father. And, but she, of course, never liked anybody else liked them anyhow, so that was nothing new. But I can see her point, too. They were not the same. Well, I don't know. I shouldn't say that. Oh, dear, that hurts. And usually, breaking an arm or a wrist or something that she'd get broken, of course, and I always, being so sympathetic for anybody that got hurt or anything, I would see her and I'd try to do what I could do for her, you know. And I always adored Aunt Mame. She was so sweet, and I never could understand their living conditions, but anyhow, we won't go into that because that would take forever. But one day she...
What? How did they live? Aunt Mame?
Well, they lived in Grandma's house. They had a bedroom in Grandma's house. And this was a big, well, a square house, and it had...
Aunt Mame and Uncle Irv?
Grandma's. It was Grandma's house. And he just told his mother that they were going to have a bedroom there, and that's where they were going to live. But he never... Well, one time they did have a house of their own.
So those dressers that I have, are they from them?
Are the what?
Are they from them? The dressers?
Well, I think my grandfather had died before they came to live with my grandmother.
Oh.
And so when she used to fall, she'd be walking down the aisle in the store and bump into something and fall down. And well, one time, of course, we always laughed about it, but it was not funny.
Okay.
All right. Hello, my dears. Well, this is a nice way of getting to talk to you. And I hope you're all doing well and the children are getting good marks in school. I think about you all the time. And I love you so much, and miss not seeing you. But this is wonderful to be able to talk to you. And I hope your work is going well, Rob, or whatever it is that you're doing now. And Michelle, I commend you on losing so much weight. That's such a wonderful thing to do. I lose a pound or two and then I gain it back. So, but I'm doing pretty good. At least I can walk, and I sometimes don't recognize people. I call them by the wrong name, but other than that, I'm doing fine. And I went and got a perm yesterday just to talk to you. And my hair was getting pretty raggedy. And I just wish I could be there and hug every one of you and give you a big kiss. But maybe some of these days, and I'm glad the boys can come out to see you and give my love to you. And we've got kind of a gloomy morning today, but some days it's pretty warm. And Michelle must be a big girl by now.
Millicent.
Millicent, I mean. Oh dear, I have trouble with names. He must be tall and beautiful, and I think about her a lot, and when I was out there, and how much I enjoyed being there with you for a while. And I hope maybe sometime you can get down here, and then I can give you all a big hug. But how long do I have?
Whenever. You want to stop?
Well, I'm trying to...
That's good. Say I love you.
I love you, I did. I do, oh, all of you. And Michael must be getting a big boy. Oh, my. And Robert, I know, is doing well in school. And so I think about all of you all the